Today, I'm going to share the story of a person whose name is Leon. He was 29 years old and he got married at 25. Leon was happily married for 4 long years. According to Leon, his wife Jenny is very beautiful. However, over the course of 4 years, we have not been blessed with any children. In seeking a solution, we decided to seek the expertise of a gynecologist who conducted a thorough examination of both of us and administered a battery of tests. Following these examinations, the gynecologist informed us that there were no apparent issues with either of us that could be hindering conception. It was suggested that perhaps the timing for conceiving a child might not be optimal at this moment. As a result, we were advised to be patient and wait, as the process of conceiving a child is a natural one that might unfold when the circumstances are more favorable. We share immense happiness in our togetherness. Our life is wonderfully harmonious. With both of us contributing to the household financially and sharing domestic responsibilities, we've managed to establish a cozy little apartment, as well as acquire a small car. Our situation appeared impeccable until a peculiar incident occurred. I encountered an unfamiliar man one day. It transpired in an office setting, where coincidentally, he happened to be present as well. What struck me as odd was his persistent and intense gaze fixed upon me throughout our time there. The whole office noticed that the man was staring at me. When someone asked if I knew him, I replied that I didn't know anything about him. It was the first time I had seen him, and his behavior seemed rather strange to me. Despite the stare, he never once engaged in conversation. When I got home, I told my wife what had happened. She was also shocked and said, "Maybe he's not looking at you. Just forget about it." In an effort to lift my spirits, she had prepared my favorite dinner. My wife is so good as a person, as a wife. She's an example for all women. But 1 week later, I got a text, and that text was saying that my wife was involved in a romantic relationship with someone else. The individual who was sending me these messages alleged that my wife was engaged in an affair with him. The news hit me like a bolt of lightning. The number was unfamiliar, not saved among my contacts. I was taken aback by the audacity of this stranger who seemed to be randomly messaging me, claiming such a serious matter. It left me wondering who this person was and why they were making these claims without any apparent basis. Initially, I entertained the possibility that it might have been a case of dialing the wrong number. Consequently, I didn't give much consideration to the text. However, my skepticism was swiftly challenged as I received yet another message from the sender. This time, the message addressed me directly by name, Leon, followed by a claim that held a serious tone. "Your wife Jenny is currently engaged in an affair with me." This time I was taking him seriously because he knew my name as well as my wife's name. The situation had taken a peculiar turn, and my astonishment grew. I decided to respond to his message, seeking clarification. I inquired, "Who are you?" He said, "I will meet you in a few days. But first I want to tell you that your wife is not what she looks like. She's a wicked person. She had deceived me by claiming she wasn't married, but upon discovering the truth, I ended the relationship. It's with a heavy heart that I must now reveal to you that your wife is having a dark affair with me. She was in my arms naked. We were together, and she had told me so many times that she is in love with me, and I'm the best man in the world, and she always wants to be with me. This man is talking rubbish. I'm in so much anger, and I said that you are lying, and the girl you are talking about is not my wife. So shut the up and don't text me again. Naturally, my faith resides in my wife. We've shared 4 years together, and it's incomprehensible for me to place my trust in an unfamiliar individual. While my allegiance remains firmly on my wife's side, I opted not to discuss this matter with her. It appears that this man's intentions might be irrational, possibly aiming to sow discord between us. It's conceivable that he harbors ulterior motives, perhaps seeking to drive a wedge between us, as marriages often attract unwarranted discontent from those around us. My mom did not like my wife, and I have to leave my mom for my wife because my mom had another brother, and she is not alone. But my wife is my responsibility, and of course I can't live without her because I love her. She also got a family, but I found he's not a fan of her either. She gave up everything on my behalf, and I'm doing the same for her. As I mentioned earlier, we've built a fulfilling life. and I won't allow this man to disrupt it effortlessly. I'm determined to prevent that. However, I'm curious about the person behind all of this. The subject had been stored within the recesses of my mind, though I deemed it inconsequential and thus temporarily expelled it from my heart. Yet one day, something incredibly peculiar occurred. My wife was talking to someone on the phone, but as soon as she saw me, she hung up, and I heard her said that I should not know this. What was the matter that she was hiding from me in the last 4 years? I hold a deep level of trust in my wife, which is why I repeatedly inquired about the person she was conversing about and who this individual. She assured me that she hadn't been engaged in any conversation. According to her, I must have misconstrued the situation, and there was no such occurrence. I let go of that incident as well. However, a few days later, I once again stumbled upon my wife engaged in a conversation with someone. Similar to before, she swiftly ended the call upon noticing me. I couldn't fathom why this situation had occurred twice now, and a sense of unease started to settle in. Nonetheless, I maintained an optimistic outlook, speculating that perhaps it was just a regular occurrence. I rationalized that my wife might be withholding something that pertained to her family or a close friend, as it's not obligatory for her to share every detail with me. Everyone deserves their privacy after all. Furthermore, being married doesn't automatically entail complete transparency. Having personal space is natural. However, there was a particular day when I was in exceptionally high spirits. I playfully said to Jenny, "I want you close to my heart. Come here." To my surprise, she looked at me oddly and replied, "Honey, I'm not in the mood at the moment, so please." Perplexed, I responded, "Ha. We've been occupied all weekend, and I presumed you might bring it up first." Trying to maintain the mood, I urged, "Let's not dampen the moment. After all, it's our weekend. I'd love to have you in bed." Unexpectedly, she retorted, "No, I am in North the Moon, and the conversation is over about it." Her response was unusually curt, leaving me taken aback. I said, "Okay, if you want that, then I will not talk to you either." She said, "Okay, that's not a big deal for me." It was quite out of character for my wife. Previously, whenever I got upset, she would promptly feel downcast and make amends. Yet now, there seemed to be a stark change in her attitude. She settled into her spot, and after some time, I began to wonder if I had been overly talkative. Tenderly, I rested my hand on her shoulder and placed a gentle kiss atop her head, asking, "Is something bothering you, my love? It seems like you're not in the best mood. If you're not comfortable being intimate right now, that's perfectly all right. Yet, could you please share with me the reason behind your somber demeanor today?" She responded, "I'm not in a bad mood. Just let me be. I'm trying to rest." After a moment, she continued, "We both toiled throughout the week. I'm truly worn out." It caught me off guard, her attempts to distance herself. On occasions when someone's mood sours, it's not uncommon for them to act in such a manner. But my wife was running away from me like every time she used to go somewhere suddenly, and when I wanted to ask where she went, she would not allow. I was determined not to jump to conclusions. However, I found myself compelled to consider the possibility that my wife might be engaged in a romantic involvement with someone else, and this could be the reason behind her distancing behavior. This thought had started to take root in my mind. I was looking at that man's messages and was thinking to message him and ask him to tell me everything. Out of the blue, I received a phone call from him. As his voice reached my ears, he reiterated, "I've already explained everything to you. Yet you continue to stay with your wife. What sort of individual are you? Don't you suspect she's finding solace in another person's embrace while you hold on to her?" His words continued to fuel my anger. I replied, "I'm uncertain about the claims you're making. How about this? You talk to your wife and gauge her reaction. If she responds positively, I'll take that as a sign. It would be a noble gesture. However, if she refuses, I won't hesitate to present concrete evidence, and I will meet you soon." I also contemplated discussing matters with my wife at some point. I informed her of the pressing need for a conversation between us, without revealing the fact that someone had contacted me and shared information. I said that it has to come to know that maybe you are seeing someone. Her response was, I'm baffled. What exactly did I say that led to the rumor that I'm engaged in an affair? She appeared taken aback and regarded me with an unfamiliar expression, as if I were discussing something from an entirely different realm. She inquired, "What's going on? What kind of joke is this? Who on earth told you such a thing? There's no truth to it. I'm not involved with anyone, and if you're just messing around, it's not a funny thing to do. My wife said that if someone said this to you, then you should not have said this to me. You don't trust me. How could you even think that way? I love you more than anything else. We spent 4 years together. Have you ever observed anything like that in me during this time? It's puzzling that you've started questioning me about these things all of a sudden, after hearing something from someone. Tell me every detail you were told," she insisted. "I can't disclose the details, but you need to reassure me that there is nothing like that." I responded. She countered, "How am I supposed to convince you when you're not inclined to believe me in the first place? If you don't have faith in me, how can I possibly convince you? However, I'll state one final time that there is absolutely no truth to these claims. If you're willing to place your trust in me, then it's good. If you don't, then don't do it." My wife was crying. Her eyes were also angry. She said that I did not expect you to talk to me like this one day. What happened is what I was afraid of. My wife became angry with me now, so she was not even talking to me and did even tell someone on the phone that this has happened to me. However, when I inquired about the person she was conversing with privately, she retorted, "Why do I need to divulge that to you? You have no trust in me whatsoever. So even if I were to tell you, what difference would it make?" This response ignited a surge of anger within me. If he was indeed fabricating falsehoods, this situation was causing strain in my relationship with my wife. I was eager to scrutinize any evidence he might possess. It seemed implausible that he was making baseless accusations, as such lies are not typically concocted without some form of evidence. After all, why would someone randomly call me, claiming an affair with my wife, when we had no connection to them? There had to be something more to it. Consequently, I had reached a decision. I wanted to meet him in person, along with my wife, to confront this situation head on. I dialed the man's number and conveyed my message, stating that he should visit my residence at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning with all the evidence he claimed to possess. He agreed to the arrangement. Subsequently, I informed my wife that the individual who had shared the information would be arriving on Sunday morning with the supposed proof. When the appointed time arrived, I was taken aback by his appearance. He looked very handsome and rich. When he saw my wife, his face was angry, but my wife didn't seem to be upset. As soon as he came, he said to my wife, "You are so shameless today, your big secret will come in front of your husband, and still you are sitting so comfortably." Annoyed, I interjected, urging him to restrain himself and present the evidence he claimed to possess, emphasizing that the person he was addressing was indeed my wife. He burst into laughter and retorted, "Well, well, what a virtuous person you've deceived, and he's still standing by your side." My wife refuted his claim, stating, "I don't even know you. This is the first time I've laid eyes on you." He persisted, accusing her of lying, and an argument ensued between him and my wife. I intervened, asserting, "Enough of this argument. Present the evidence you mentioned." The three of us settled in the living room, and he proceeded to lay out the evidence on the table. To my astonishment, there were photographs depicting my wife and him together, exuding apparent happiness. Among the visuals were selfies capturing them in jovial moments, sitting together during meals, and even one where they appeared to be taking a bath together. The display left me taken aback. A mix of anger and sorrow surged within me. My wife's gaze remained fixed on me, an expression of astonishment on her face. In my frustration, I exclaimed, "Yet, do I not see any remorse in your eyes?" She replied, "He's as much a fool as you are." "And so am I." The man interjected, "Isn't your name Jenny? Aren't you present in these very pictures?" And my wife then spoke up, acknowledging, "Yes, I go by the name Jenny, and this man here is my husband. However, the person in these pictures is not me." The revelation left both of us stunned. She continued, explaining, "This is actually my twin sister, someone my family doesn't discuss because she left our home a long time ago. She forms relationships with people and then she dumps them. You know, this is how she does each and everything. This revelation came as a tremendous shock to me. We were both shocked, and my wife. She told me that this sister is just as she called her right away. When she called her sister just, picked up the phone and she said, "Yeah, I lied. Sorry, goodbye. Forgive me." She seemed so busy, like if she was with someone else, like right now. The man was also shocked, and so was I. I told him to get out of my house right now because of you. My life was going to be ruined, and apologized to my wife. I turned to my wife and expressed my remorse, recognizing the potential damage his false allegations could have inflicted on our relationship. Turning to my wife again, I questioned, "Why were you evading me, disappearing without explanation? Whenever I attempted to question you evaded my inquiries," I remarked, causing tears to well up in my wife's eyes. She responded, "There was a reason for that as well." I inquired about the cause, to which my wife responded that she might be pregnant. However, a medical professional cautioned that it's quite early to determine definitively at this point. The doctor advised refraining from intimate relations with my husband for the next 2 weeks, as there could be potential risks to the pregnancy. After this period, a confirmation of the pregnancy can be obtained. Then I want to tell you, because if anything happened to the baby before then, you would have been sad too. I've been making repeated visits to the doctor, and the person I was talking to over the phone was also my doctor. Today, I have another appointment with the doctor, during which I'll learn about the well-being of our baby. Emotions welled up, causing tears to fill my eyes. It was so big news because we did not have a baby for 4 years. I apologized to my wife, and she said to me that we are going to the doctor now. Together, we made our way to the doctor's office, where we were met with heartening news. The doctor confirmed the well-being of both my wife and our child, evoking a shared sense of elation. The weight of worry that I had been carrying was finally lifted, and our happiness knew no bounds. If I had doubted my wife, my life would have been ruined. But my wife turned out to be a good person, forgave me, and now we are very happy because we are about to have a baby. Sometimes life can be very strange, but in the end, I would like to say that you have to trust your partner. Thank you for listening to the story to the end, and if you like it, please support us with a like, as well as subscribe to our channel. Write in the comments what you